Welcome everybody to another episode of Wading Wisdom. Today I'm with Germano Vailati in Switzerland. He's a former professional football player and a coach for FC Basel in Switzerland. And he also hosts trips, does guidings pretty much across the world, right, Jerry? And from the stuff that you brought, I can already tell that you're definitely into predator fishing.
Exactly. First of all, hi guys. And Leo, thank you for your invitation. It's a pleasure to be here with you. Exactly. I was thinking about to speak a little bit about predatory.
Yep.
I think it's interesting. Of course, I love to fish with dry fly for trout here in Switzerland, everywhere around the world. Chris speak about this. Is maybe the best dry fly fisherman I know.
Yeah.
So today we go a little bit in the rock and roll. So my idea today was a little bit to go through in some years ago, where I start to fish with some flies, where the guy told me you have to try this. And find that when I see the fly first, I was thinking, no way, I can never throw this stuff from the water.
Which one would that be?
Can be like this, for example. This is a fly that a good friend of mine in Patagonia showed me.
Yeah.
It's a fly basically they use on the Limay River, for example, where they fish with double end rod, with heavy skagit fly lines, and they just retrieve it as fast as you can.
Okay.
And it's unbelievable how the trout react to stuff like this.
Do you just put it across the river and then strip it in?
River, and when the fly is winging, you add some speed, and the trout just come up to smash it. And that's almost the same concept. How you see, it's very long fly, tiny profile when it's wet, and it's just going like a rocket on the surface or just below the surface. Also in rough water, it's unbelievable how the trout start to smash it everywhere. I fish like this in Carileo River.
Yeah.
And that was for the last 2-3 years, I was just fishing with stuff like this. Just because also the take is amazing.
Yeah.
And then that's help also to understand how trout can react to something different that you don't used to. You touch some other cord, you just provocate this hunting instinct they have. I think it's the same that happens in Iceland when you hitch for a trout. They just come up for something almost invisible, and in Patagonia they just come up for something very big.
Have you tried this over here as well? When you say it would be worth it?
I try sometimes in my water, but we don't have river with this not that big, with this volume of water like the Limay with trout with this size. So basically. I try something more or less like this, but I downsize a little bit the size. And more or less on size like this. It's pretty the same. And with streamer like this, I catch a lot of trout also in Switzerland. So I have like 3-4 years where I was really focused on big flies, and it worked quite well. Maybe you can make also a little bit a better selection of your prey. Maybe you have 2-3 bites in a day, but actually it should be quite big. With a
fly like that.
Yeah. And now I'm fishing with a little bit smaller, little bit bigger. Depends also on the rod I have with me this day. Of course, those guys you cannot throw with a 4-weight line. Yeah. So depend a lot of what they have on the water. I have here also a fly, for example, to go completely in another direction.
Looks a bit like a pike fly to me.
Yes, but that's a fly. The name of this fly is quattro palle. So it's 4 balls. Yeah. Very heavy fly. And it's a fly that developed by a good friend of mine in Trentino. And is one of the best angler I know for marmorata trout.
Okay.
So marmorata is like to live on the bottom.
Yeah.
So they move maybe once every 2-3 weeks to something. They're not very hunting. So this fly get just to knock in the door.
It gets down and it's triggered.
Down very. Of course, we are not in the beauty of dry fly fishing. Yeah. At the end, there are some evolution of streamer fishing, like also European check nymphing. It's also the evolution of traditional nymphing.
Yeah.
It's just to optimize the fishing. We can say.
What sort of rod would you need for casting such a fly?
Of such a fly, you have to go at least with a 8-weight, stuff like this, not too long leader. It's also dangerous. But yeah, sometimes it can be a game changer or something like this. They don't use to
Something unusual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So of course, trout, if you speak about predatory, for me is the best thing can happen is start raining.
Yeah.
The river start to get a little bit milky or muddy and high. And when it's like this, I grab just my 7-weight or 6-weight rod and I go to my rivers and I fish the same spot.
Yeah.
That I fish with nymph and stuff like this, but a little bit more maybe the edge. The fish are pushed on the bank.
Yeah.
And I go with streamer and they are there. So it's also curious to see how fish you catch during the low water with nymph, maybe in the deepest part of the pool. As soon the water got high, you fish the edge of the river, and then you get the bite from the same fish. Just move or push it out.
And is from your experience the moment when the river rises as good as when the water drops again?
The windows of activity is smaller because when the river actually rise quite fast.
Yeah.
So maybe you have the couple of hours where the fish is feeding, and then if it become too brown, too milky, then you have to stop fishing. I think the conditions are more stable when the river is getting clear.
Yeah.
You have always this turn between the brown and the green. So when you start to see about 50, 60 centimeters below the water, the water is getting green.
Yeah.
That's the moment.
I've seen the same when fishing for hucho, right? They use that moment when the water sort of changes, and oftentimes they're active in those moments.
Actually, the river is not getting clear in a couple of hours.
Yeah.
So you have
more time.
3 days, good activity. Yeah. So that's also a very good moment.
Cool.
For trout. And I can continue maybe with pike because I start with pike fly fishing. I guided many years in Ireland.
Yeah.
For pike. So predatory, of course, I start with trout and then pike. And also there, but for pike, I would say I always go with big flies. And then stuff like this with a lot of volume.
Yeah. But it still looks pretty light, right?
That's the trick. It's
wow.
very light.
Cool.
So our flies you can enjoy casting 12 hours a day.
Yeah.
They have a nice volume in the water.
And when they stop, they probably
they pull.
show up, right? Yeah.
So if you strip not regular, you make a longer pull and a small one, you can get this jerk action.
Nice.
Left, right,
sideways,
and they stay like suspending because they're quite light. So that's probably my favorite pike fly to fish, not that deep, until 3 meters or just below.
Yeah.
Below the.
And to get them down, you use a little weighted tip, or when you say 3 meters down, how does that work?
Fly with the intermediate line till sinking tree, no more. And when I have to go deep, like in the season in September, October, where the fish start to go pelagic, start to fall off the bait fish.
Yeah.
So they are feeding perch, for example, and you can fish them till 10 to 15 meter.
Wow.
Then I go with stuff like this.
Yeah.
They have a lot of flesh.
Yeah.
But they have no volume. So
and it's a jointed one, right?
It's a jointed because the bite are very fine, subtle when you are fishing that deep. Sometimes you just feel your line losing weight, and then you have to set. And with 2 hooks, you have a little bit more guarantee you can hook the fish. And many times when I fish pelagic, you have to go very slow.
Yeah.
So the drift of the boat is enough.
Interesting.
And then you can just animate the fly. I put a small rattle inside. So when you just twitch the fly, make a little noises between the perch. So sometimes it's the moment they react. So that's a fly.
Might also be interesting for walleye, right?
Of course. And for walleye, I tie a little bit shorter.
Yeah.
And maybe with a paccarini tail. Okay. So that you add some vibration.
Okay.
Depend where. I think for walleye in Spain, walleye in February is about 2 meter of water, so you can fish.
Pretty shallow.
Yeah, pretty shallow water, and you can fish also with traditional pike flies. But yeah, of course, if you want to go deep for walleye, that can be
A way to go.
yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, all those flies work also for golden dorado or predatory that are looking for a big meal for a big bait fish. Then it's stuff like this work well. Then that's a traditional predatory fishing we could do in Europe.
Yeah.
Trout, pike, or if you mentioned huko. Yeah. The season is very short. Also a very funny fish to fish.
Yeah.
And if you want to speak about predatory in the wider
Sense.
around the world, wider sense, then my favorite other three fish are tarpon, giant trevally, and
Dorado.
Yeah, Dorado.
Yeah.
Maybe the best one because it's like GT side fishing. For tarpon, it's more covering water. But we can start maybe from Dorado.
Yeah.
I fished many years in Bolivia for Dorado, so and every year as I come back, I learn something new. Because every year you think, this will be the year I know everything, and then you learn again, something new. But of course, stuff like this work very well.
Yeah.
Big streamer in when we fish structure like tree or stuff like this, because move a lot of water, a lot of flesh. But if we go on side fishing, then we see the fish posted in the middle of the current, for example. That's the signal this fish is hunting.
Okay.
If you see the rod in the pool, just running, cruising, you can throw whatever you want.
Yeah.
Get the reaction. But the Dorado is set it up in the current.
Yeah.
Just facing up like this and slowly swimming. He's waiting for a prey.
Okay.
It's the moment to cast.
To be there. Yeah.
Be there. And it's every fish react different. You have never the guarantee you will get an attack. But if I start to fish with flies on the surface, because they are always looking up, and that's probably one of the flies I like the most to fish. First, because you don't have to change fly. You can also fish for pacu with this, because they come just to grab it on the surface. But it's unbelievable how the Dorado react of these flies. Basically, it's like a mouse or like a streamer or... that's remember me a little bit this skating fly they use in Finland for trout on the surface.
Yeah.
With a lot of foam in the top. It's very light to cast. And basically, you just have to throw it on the head of the fish. And then no animation or just twitch a little bit. And they react crazy on stuff like this. It's very, very fun fly to use.
Yeah.
And of course, when you get your first 3-4 Dorado in the week, then you start to go in the fun fishing.
Yeah.
Not throwing just streamer. And so that's a fly give us a lot of fish this year.
Cool.
And it's cool. And then, of course, we try also stuff that are they are eating mouth.
Like
everything is falling in the water.
Yeah.
Basically,
I think, stuff like that would also work for pike here, for example, right?
Maybe here it's difficult. I think when the fishing pressure is very high, all the fish start to feed below the water. They don't come up really that much. But of course, if you go in Sweden, in shallow water and stuff like this fly work 100%.
Yeah.
For Dorado, it's just something amazing. I mean, I can imagine this fly also with a heavy line and fishing for huko.
Absolutely. One of my favorite huko flies is actually an imitation of a rat.
Exactly.
From an Italian fly tie.
They take squirrel fur and they tie something like this. But they're just a funny fly with the guide in the evening, and we use it. We catch some fish. It's just a funny evolution of the streamer fishing. And that's for the golden Dorado. And then maybe we can move to tarpon.
Yeah.
Tarpon, I used to fish a lot in Costa Rica. And there is really go big or go home. They have maybe with Gabon or Angola, Nicaragua. They have maybe the biggest tarpon in the world, so over 200 pounds. And there is also you see the fish rolling, So that give you more or less the direction where to cast. But it's unbelievable how so big fish go to hunt small prey. They are basically focused on sardine, and because of this, the size of the fly is more or less.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I use for striped bass as well.
Exactly.
Right?
It's just a bait fish with some flesh. Keep it small.
Yeah.
If the water is clear, very small, you can just cook fly with half of the size of this fly. But there's basically a fly that works really well. And if the water get a little bit dirty or muddy, brown, then you can go with stuff more.
A little more flesh. Yeah.
Exactly. You can also put some orange, some chartreuse.
Yeah.
And also there, I tried many different stuff, but at the end, we come always back to the basic because it's working. I try also fly like this for Tarpon, where it's basically a fly I use also for GT. It's a bit like a game changer.
Yeah.
And I got some bite in the waves, so stuff like this. I mean, for a 200-pound Tarpon, that's almost like a peanuts. So, but the smallest fly where the one that perform better. And maybe if we speak about the gear for Tarpon, I fish a lot there with of course 12-weight rod.
Yeah, heavy rods.
Heavy rod.
Yep.
And I fish with the traditional 12-weight 9-feet pod with good result. But I started a couple of years ago also fishing with fiberglass rod. Cool. Because when you're fishing from the boat, you put always a vertical pressure on the fish. And that's not the best things for carbon.
Okay.
So I see it's much easier to fight the fish with fiberglass.
Because it's softer, or what's the big difference?
The rod doesn't break, and you can put as much pressure as you want.
Interesting.
And then I start to see that the fight with the fish was shorter, because normally with traditional rods you need to 45 minutes at least till 1 hour to land the fish.
Yeah.
But with fiberglass you can really put the pressure on the fish. The fish cannot go too far away.
Yeah.
It take 30-40 meters of backing, and then you can stop him. And so it's a big change from traditional rods.
Interesting, right? Because I think a lot of people wouldn't believe that. If you told them you fish with glass rods for the heaviest predators, probably most people would be like, whoa.
It's unbelievable. And the other advantage of the fiberglass is that the edge of the boat is quite high.
Yeah.
And when the fish pull, then many rods break on the edge of the boat. And with this, you can just pull it up, and the tip of the rod is almost under the boat, and you keep pulling pressure on the fish.
That's very nice.
I start because the owner of the lodge, Giuliano,
Yeah.
he started fishing with those rods, and one day he told me, you have to try it. Okay, then I tried it, book a fish, and it was so funny. I mean, you don't have to care about how much pressure you put on the fish, and with the traditional rod, if you make some mistake, you pay cash.
Yeah.
Directly. We fish like this. But a Tarpon get crazy, then it's ultimate.
Yeah.
You can tame him.
Yeah.
So that's maybe my tip for very big Tarpon. Of course, you lose some pleasure in the casting, but when you have 500 grains on your rod, you can throw it with whatever you have in your hand. So it's not a big deal, but very funny to hook big fish with rod like this. Like also in Gabon can work very well from the beach. Some nice stuff.
And the reel we have here?
That's a reel I use, of course, for predatory.
Yeah.
It's good also for Tarpon. And that's the pen. Maybe it's a tip I can give is if you put a rod like this, if you use a rod like fiberglass, you need a reel with a lot of braking power, because you can just stop him.
Yeah.
If you use a traditional rod, you don't need a reel with a very strong brake.
Makes sense.
Because otherwise the rod cannot take so much weight. And the best stuff is then brake just palming, or just grabbing the line and the rod same times, and you put, so you don't need a very strong break if you fish with traditional rods.
Yeah.
It's better. Also, in the last moment of the fight, when the fish start to go under the boat, if the break is too tight, then you cannot control the fish. You lose your rod, you can get injured. And so always better when the fish is close to the boat, even let the break a little bit more open. You can make some figure eight or some stuff like this with your rod. Then the same rod, if you go fishing for jeets, is perfect. I mean, you don't need fiberglass.
Yeah.
You can.
Yeah.
But I mean, many times you fish for jeets, you are wading in shallow water.
Mhm.
So everything happens in the horizontal. The power, you pull the fish horizontal and not
Makes it not vertical.
Exactly. So the rod really have a really small role in the fight with the jeets.
Yeah.
I mean, you are always just pulling your rod straight. Then you need a strong brake. Then you need your hand. You have to stop it. If you get one in a flat with sand for 1 kilometer, then it's not a problem. But I fish a lot for jeets in Sudan, for example, where you are really in the edge of the drop-off, and the fish come from the deep water, take your fly, and then you want to swim again back in the deep water. And if you allowed it, the consequence is you lose your line, you lose your fish, you lose everything, because the corral cut is very sharp. And so there you cannot give nothing. You have to stop him.
Yeah.
So burn your finger, try to control him. And also like this, you don't have guarantee. But for this and GT fishing, you have to be quick many times. So a very fast recovery rod help throw your flies into the wind, into the waves.
Yeah.
So with a fiberglass will be difficult. So there you need you can combine a traditional rod, carbon, and you can combine it with a very strong reel with a very high braking power. And of course, you have to check that your system, tippet, line, backing, have no failure, no point, weak point, because like a chain, I always break in the weakest point.
It's the same for Hugo, basically, right? You know, you're not going to hook a lot of them, and you don't want your gear to be to have a flaw and lose a fish because of that.
Also like this, you never have the guarantee. But of course, for jeets we use, for example, line, they have a core with 60 to 70 pound test. And then the first stuff I do with GT lines is changing all the connection. You have to make it very strong.
Okay.
Also the connection between backing and fly line, I used to do a double bimini with a lot of knot. We had maybe some glue. The depression is not always in one point.
Yeah.
That is important also to cross maybe 2 to 3 times the connection, so the depression is distributed in a wider zone.
Yeah.
And then of course the loop of the fly line, I used to reinforce it with like a socks like this, so that's will prevent the cut of
into the
fly line with
the tippet. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's a very strong connection for saltwater for jeets.
Yeah.
It took a couple of minutes to do, but it's like a good insurance. Or if you hook one of those fish.
And if you lose one of them, do you most often do they just drop the hook, or does the tippet break, or what's the?
I experience every kind of. I lost many jeets, and once I was cutted in the connection between backing and fly line. Once I was cutted in the coral.
Yeah.
Once I hook a GT in the middle of a flatter where only one stone is all flat, and he just swim there. It make 2 rounds, and then we have to grab the fish from there. But it was stuck there.
Yeah.
So many times can go wrong when you're fishing for jeets, and also sometimes just you have a knot on your line.
Yeah.
The knot is going through the rings of the rod.
Yeah.
I mean, you are fishing in a not friendly environment. Tough environment. You are walking on the reef.
Yeah.
And big waves.
It's very tough conditions.
Tough condition, but that's what makes this fitting really interesting for me. I know the place where I go fishing for jeets are not you be the best in the world, but you have chance. So if you can hook in 1 week 8 to 10 jits, it's a very good week. And if you can land a 3 or 4, maybe 1 or 2 with a good size, then it's a successful week.
Yeah.
And for jits, the flies, maybe the tips I can do.
Yeah.
The gear is like this. The flies, basically the jits have to see the fly.
Mm-hmm.
And the rest, if you want to eat it, it will come.
Yeah.
What is important with jits is that you have to retrieve very fast.
Okay.
So it's very important when you tie your flies to squeeze the eyes very, very close to each other. There's the profile of the fly is very flat.
Mm-hmm.
Because you don't want, when you're stripping fast, that your fly start to turn like this. So, and the size of the fly is just basically like this, or just baitfish fly in many combination. I like natural color. I like chartreuse. I like a lot black and purple, black and red.
Also pretty light, I would say, right?
Yeah, light, because you have
To cast.
far.
Yeah.
And
long days, probably.
what you need are very strong hooks. Because also there, if you use hooks are not that strong and you stop your fish, then it's the hook become the weakest part.
What type of hook is that? Like a Yamakatsu saltwater Tiemco?
Thunder.
Yeah.
SP, I think is one of the best hook. Now you can find them kill, I think 4.0 size. Before was also possible in 6.0, but they don't do it anymore. So
do you tie all of these yourself?
Yeah, I tie always all my flies, and actually I tie also for my client when we go on a trip. I always give a set of fly that is supposed to work for the trip, and then I take always my fly tying material with me, so I can, if we don't have the right pattern in the moment of the condition, we have to change color. Then I can tie it in one evening, 10 flies, and then we go. The next day we are ready.
Yeah, and then basically the last one we have left is this little fellow, right?
This
like a little crab fly.
Yeah, that's probably because we speak about jits.
Yeah.
We speak about saltwater, and when you're fishing for jits, many times you carry also your 8-weight rod, and you fish basically and trigger fish, can be bonefish in other location. But that's my favorite fly for trigger fish, for example, or for permit. Is the flexo crab. Is working very, very, very good for trigger. It's amazing. They see this fly and they come just to grab it. Like and with what is funny with trigger is that you can see maybe 20, 30 trigger in a day, and no one have the same behavior with the previous one. So they have really strange character. Sometimes they get crazy. They come to grab your fly when you don't have even one strip left in the tip of your rod, and sometimes you just decide to cast for one trigger. You pull 1 meter line out, and the trigger is gone. I mean, 20 meters from you, so it can be very spooky. Yeah. And the big problem by trigger is to find a hook that lasts. That lasts with the tooth that they have. So, me happens already that they just
smash the hook.
Sometimes they destroy the fly. Not possible. It's impossible to hook the fish, and then they keep eating. They keep feeding, and then you can cast another fly, and they come again if they want it.
Cool.
Me happens once also. I got a trigger, and the hook was just stuck between the teeth. So, and when I put it in the net, I was looking, where is the fly? It was just stopped here in the middle, and it was a funny moment.
Great.
So I think we had.
Yeah, that was a great coverage of all the flies. I think that's very insightful to cover all the different predators and see the different sizes of the fly, the weight. I think people who are into trout or like, pike, Dorado, GTs, whatever, really can take a lot away from that. And thanks a lot, Jerry, for sharing these insights. And I hope we get to fish for the GTs maybe one day.